Let's talk about DRP planning. Building a disaster recovery plan for an enterprise involves several steps, which can be summarized as follows: identify critical systems and data, determine recovery objectives, determine recovery strategies, document the plan, test, and refine the plan. Let's say we are building a DRP for a large e commerce company that relies heavily on its website to generate revenues. How to approach the process? Identically, the critical systems and data like the website, database servers, and payment processing systems which are critical to the company. Determining recovery objectives. The RTO for the website is 4 hours and the RPO is 1 hour. The RTO for the database service is 8 hours and the RPO is 2 hours. The RTO for the payment processing systems is 12 hours and the RPO is 4 hours. Developing recovery strategies. For the website, a combination of hot and warm standby servers located in a geographically separate data center will be implemented. For the database servers, a combination of offsite backups and replication to a warm standby server will be used. For payment processing systems, offsite backups and manual processing until primary system is restored will be used. Document the plan. A detailed DRP document will be created, which includes recovery strategies, contact information for key personnel, and procedures for activating and testing. Test and refine the plan. Regular DRP testing to ensure the plan works will be conducted and refinement will be done as per the testing results. In this video, we are going to have a quick introduction. Then we'll talk about the business impact analysis. Then we are going to talk about recovery objective and then recovery strategy and then the DRP document and then testing and refinement. And finally, we'll summarize. DRP or Disaster Recovery Plan is an essential component of business continuity and disaster recovery. It is a structured approach that helps businesses prepare for and recover from potential disasters or disruptions that could impact their operation, minimizes downtime. A DRP provides a detailed set of procedures to follow in the event of a disaster, which can minimize downtime and ensure business continuity. This can help prevent financial losses and minimize the impact of a disaster on customers, suppliers, and other stakeholders. Protects data. DRP ensures the protection of data, which is critical asset for any businesses. It provides backup and recovery procedures that enable businesses to restore their systems and data to the state before the disaster, thereby minimizing the risk of data loss. Mitigates risks. DRP identifies potential risks and vulnerabilities in the business operations and infrastructure and puts in place measures to mitigate them. This helps businesses to be proactive in their approach to disaster management and minimize the impact of a disaster on their operations. Enhances reputation. DRP demonstrates to customers and stakeholders that business takes their operation and data seriously. It enhances the reputation of the businesses and can help to retain customers and attract new ones. Business impact analysis or BIA is a process of identifying critical systems and data by assessing the potential impact of disruptions on business operation. Defining the scope. The first step is to define the scope of the analysis, which includes identifying the critical business processes, systems, and data that need to be analyzed. This may involve creating a list of critical assets, applications, and IT systems. Identifying dependencies. The next step is to identify the dependencies between the critical systems, processes, and data. This involves understanding how the failure of the system can impact other systems and the business processes that depend on them. Assess impact. The BIA process involves assessing the potential impact of a disruption on business operations. This includes identifying the impact on critical business function, operation, and financials. The impact assessment should consider both short term and long term impact of the disruptions. Determining the RTO and the RPO. The BIA processes also involves determining the recovery time objectives, that is RTO, and the recovery point objectives, that is the RPO, for critical systems and data. RTO is the maximum allowable downtime for a system or process, while RPO is the maximum allowable data loss. Prioritize critical systems and data. Once the impact assessment and RTO RPO has been determined, the next step is to prioritize critical systems and data based on their importance to business operations. This includes identifying the order in which systems and data should be restored to ensure business continuity. And last, document findings. And the BIA process should be documented in a report that summarizes the findings and recommendations. This report should be shared with stakeholders and used to inform the development of a disaster recovery plan to mitigate the risks identified during the BIA process. RTO, recovery time objective, and RPO, recovery point objectives, are two critical metrics used in disaster recovery planning to determine recovery objectives. These metrics are used to define the maximum allowable downtime and data loss for critical systems and data. RTO refers to maximum amount of time it should take to restore a system or process after a disaster. It is the time frame within which a business must recover its critical systems and applications to ensure that its operations can continue without significant disruptions. For example, if a business has an RTO of 4 hours, it means that the critical systems and applications should be restored within 4 hours of a disaster. RPO refers to the maximum amount of data loss that a business can tolerate. It is the point in time to which the data must be restored after a disaster. For example, if a business has an RPO of 1 hour, it means that the data must be restored to a point in time no more than 1 hour before the disaster occurred. RTO and RPO are used to determine recovery objectives in the following ways: determining priorities. RTO and RPO are used to determine the priorities for restoring critical systems and data. Based on their RTO and RPO, the critical systems and data can be categorized into tiers based on their importance, which helps in prioritizing the recovery process. Setting targets. RTO and RPOs are used to set targets for recovery time and data loss. These targets happen these targets helps to ensure that the recovery process is completed within the required time frame, minimizing the impact of the disaster on business operations. Testing. RTO and RPOs are used to test the effectiveness of the disaster recovery plan. Regular testing of the DRP helps to identify gaps and improve the recovery process, ensuring that the RTO and RPO targets are met in the event of a disaster. Recovery strategies are developed for each critical system and data sets to ensure that the organization can recover its systems and data in the event of a disaster. The recovery strategies are designed to minimize the impact of the disaster on business operations and to meet the recovery time objectives and recovery point objectives defined in the business impact analysis. Backup and restore. This strategy involves regularly backing up critical data and restoring it in the event of a disaster. The backup can be restored on site or off site depending on the business requirement. The expected outcome is that critical data can be restored within the RPO RTO objectives. High availability. This strategy involves implementing systems that provide high availability for critical applications and services. This can include deploying redundant servers, network equipments, and storage systems. The expected outcome is that critical applications and services can be restored quickly and with minimal downtime. Hot site disaster recovery center. This strategy involves maintaining a fully equipped and functional disaster recovery center that can be used to resume critical business operations in the event of a disaster. The DRC, or the Disaster Recovery Center, should have redundant systems and data backups to ensure that the critical systems and data can be restored quickly. The expected outcome is that critical business operations can be resumed within the RTO RPO objectives. Cloud based disaster recovery. This strategy involves using cloud based services to replicate critical systems and data in real time to a cloud based environment. This ensures that the critical systems and data are always available and can be restored quickly in the event of a disaster. The expected outcome is that critical systems and data can be restored quickly and with minimal downtime. Manual workarounds. This strategy involves developing manual processes to continue critical business operations in the event of a disaster. This can include using paper based process or manually entering data into the system. The expected outcome is that critical business operations can be continued even if the IT systems are not available. A disaster recovery plan is a crucial part of any organization's business continuity strategy. It outlines the steps and procedures that should be taken in the event of a disaster or disruption, such as a natural disaster, cyber attack, or other unexpected events, to ensure that the organization can continue to operate with minimal disruption. Ensuring clarity and consistency. Documented DRP provides clear and consistent guidance to all members of the organization on what steps they should take in the event of a disaster. This can help to ensure that everyone knows what their role is and what they need to do to help the organization recover. Facilitating training and testing. A documented DRP can be used to train new employees and to conduct regular testing to ensure that everyone understands the procedure and is prepared to respond to a disaster. Testing can help to identify weaknesses in the plan and make improvements before an actual disaster occurs. Compliance and regulation. Depending on the industry and location, there may be legal or regulatory requirements to have a documented DRP in place. Compliance with these requirements can help to avoid fines and penalties. Improving response time. A well documented DRP can help to speed up the response time to a disaster. In a high pressure situation, having clear instructions and procedures can help to ensure that the organization responds quickly and effectively, minimizing the impact of the disaster. Supporting insurance claims. In the event of a disaster, insurance companies may require documentation of the organization's DRP to process claims. A well documented DRP can help to ensure that claims are processed quickly and accurately, minimizing the financial impact of the disaster. The key elements here are included as introduction and the scope. So this section should provide an overview of the DRP and define its scope, including the type of disaster or disruption that plan covers. Emergency response and evacuation procedures. This section should outline the steps that should be taken in the event of a disaster, including procedures for emergency response and evacuation. Communication plan. A communication plan should be developed to ensure that all relevant stakeholders are notified in the event of a disaster. This section should outline the communication procedures, including who should be contacted, how, and when. Backup and recovery procedures. This section should provide detailed instructions on how to back up critical data and systems and how to recover them in the event of a disaster. Roles and responsibilities. This section should clearly define the roles and responsibilities of all individuals involved in the DRP. It should identify the specific tasks and responsibilities of each person during the emergency response and recovery process. Testing and maintenance procedures. The DRP should be tested regularly to ensure that it is up to date and effective. This section should outline the testing procedures and frequency. Plan activation procedure. This section should outline the procedures for activating the DRP in the event of a disaster. It should specify who has the authority to activate the plan and when it should be activated. Resource requirements. The DRP should specify the resources that will be required to respond to a disaster. This includes personnel, equipments, and facilities. Documentation and reporting procedures. This section should outline the procedure for documenting the disaster response and recovery process and reporting back to the management and stakeholders. Testing and refining a disaster recovery plan document is crucial and to ensure its effectiveness in the event of a real disaster or disruption. Identifying gaps and weaknesses. Testing the DRP can help identify gaps and weaknesses in the plan. By discovering and addressing these issues, the organization can better prepare for a disaster and improve its response and recovery capabilities. Improving response time. Testing the DRP can help refine the procedure and processes, allowing for a faster and more efficient response time in the event of a disaster. This can help minimize the impact of the disaster, and reduce the downtime and financial loss for the organization. Ensuring capability. As the technology and systems evolve, the DRP may become outdated or incompatible with the organization's current systems. Regular testing and refining can help ensure that the plan is still compatible with the organization's technology and systems. Training and awareness. Testing and refining the DRP can help train employees and increase their awareness of the plan by practicing the procedures and processes outlined in the DRP. Employees can better understand their roles and responsibilities and feel more prepared to respond to a disaster. Meeting regulatory and compliance requirements. Depending on the industry and location, there may be a legal or regulatory requirement to test and refine the DRP. Compliance with these requirements can help to avoid fines and penalties. So, in short, a well designed DRP is critical for business continuity and disaster recovery. Identifying critical systems and data is used to develop a DRP to ensure business continuity in the event of a disruption. RTO and RPO help to prioritize critical systems and data, set targets for recovery time and data loss, and test the effectiveness of the DRP. The choice of recovery strategy depends on the business requirements, criticality, and the system or data, and the RTO RPO objectives. Overall, documenting the DRP is critical to ensure that an organization is prepared to respond to a disaster effectively. Thank you for being patient with me and hope you enjoyed the video. My name is Biswadeep. Thank you.